Buck said, which was kind of inaccurate. I didn't want to be a stickler, but it's not really 1st and 92. You got 92 yards to go to win. It's still 1st and 10. 1st and 92 is a little insurmountable. You got more than 4 plays to get there. But his point was they had to drive that far with less than 2 minutes and 1 timeout to try to win the game. And, I want to focus on the very first play because I've seen this happen time and again. If you watch enough football, what you see is one of these late game drives. There's an early opportunity to slam the door. And just through twist of fate, bounce of ball, pops in the air, doesn't happen, Asante Samuel drops it, whatever the case may be, that moment doesn't become the slamming of the door. And I feel like something happens in those moments. I can't quantify it. It's not conducive to analytics. There is no empirical evidence on which I can support this statement. There is just a feeling that when that happens, the team that avoided disaster suddenly says, screw it, we should have just lost the game anyway. And the team that could have had the victory with the carom and the interception gets a little like, uh-oh, oh no, oh no, oh no. And they come together, and there it goes. And I said that to my son last night. One of the few occasions I articulated when that moment arrives. I said, Alex, how many times have we seen this happen where there's a chance to slam the door, and that's the kick in the ass the other team needs. And the next thing you know, old Jed's a millionaire, and old Pete wins the game.
Yeah, and it reminds me of the 2021 NFC Championship game, right? The 49ers have a chance to intercept Matthew Stafford. They don't do it. Rams end up winning that game. And it's just one of those things, like you said, you see it all the time. And somehow the football gods smile down on one team and they frown upon another. And Kadarius Toney is probably wondering somewhere, why in the world can't that happen to me? Where if I don't drop the ball, usually, the player intercepts it. Why can't it just fall to the ground safely like that? But it did for Noah Fant and for Drew Lock, and then they just start getting going. And then you see DK Metcalf right there just make an outstanding catch, just hold the ball against his body. Then he gets behind the defender, and, Drew Lock just puts one right where he has to along the sideline from Metcalf, and then boom, the touchdown to Jackson Smith and Jigba. It was awesome. I mean, what a stretch and what a catch and what a throw. And I don't know what was going on with the coverage there from the Eagles in that situation where that they have to get down the field and score a touchdown, but it kind of doesn't matter. Look, I'm so impressed with the way that Drew Lock responded, especially on that last drive. I mean, it's a tough thing for a quarterback when you don't necessarily know if you're going to play or not, to stay engaged throughout the week and then get to Monday night. And hey, yeah, you're on the biggest stage with the week, this national profile game. And then you are still able to do all the things that he did. I was really, really impressed with that.
It's almost like the Eagles defense, now coordinated by Matt Patricia, not Sean Desai. Desai got exiled to the booth. Patricia down there with the pencil back in his ear, although he probably always had the pencil in his ear anyway. There was just no reason to put a camera on him. It's almost like they dared Drew Lock to beat them.
Yes.
Like, we'll go ahead. And now the throw to DK Metcalf, it was into double coverage, and it's just DK Metcalf doing DK Metcalf things. But the throw to Jackson Smith and Jigba, and Drew Lock explained after the game, he told Smith and Jigba before the play, if you're singled, I'm throwing it to you. And it's just a gutsy play, a great throw, a hell of a catch on the back end of the ball. One of those things where it happens so fast, you don't realize the athleticism that is required to make the catch, get yourself in bounds, hold the ball through to the ground, because you are going to the ground there, and win the game. It was amazing. Great moment by Jackson Smith and Jigba. There have been questions about him this year. At one point, people were like, oh, Jake Bobo's better than the guy who was taken in round one. Well, maybe not after last night. Maybe those questions have been resolved. That is clutch. That is clutch, and it saves the season, or at least it delays the inevitable. If they're not going to make it, it's not going to be because of last night. They got to 7-7. They ended the 4-game losing streak, and there's a different vibe now, and they have winnable games down the stretch. They could go 10-7. Hurts that they got swept by the Rams. That hurts, but still would have hurt a lot more to lose last night.
Well, and look, the Rams do not necessarily have the easiest schedule going forward, right? They do play the Saints this week on Thursday night at SoFi Stadium. That's a winnable game based on the kinds of things we've seen from the NFC South, but there is no guarantee there. And then they have to play the 49ers in week 18. And depending on what happens on Monday night between the 49ers and the Baltimore Ravens, the 49ers may need that game or they may not need that game in week 18. So the Seahawks are absolutely still alive in this, and especially with the schedule that they have going forward, I can totally see them going 10-7 and making it to the postseason, especially because, look, and I say this with apologies to you, Mike, Minnesota now is playing Nick Mullins, and we've seen over the last couple of weeks, when you're not playing your starting quarterback, yeah,
they're done.
Exactly.
They're done. It's over.
It doesn't look great, man. Especially you tried 2 tush-push plays on 3rd and 4th down and you need a yard and you can't do it. So there are a lot of positive things that the Seahawks should be able to take out of this. It is still very hard to win in Seattle. That's one of them. You know, it has been very hard to win at Seattle since Pete Carroll took over there. And the Eagles, for whatever reason, have not been able to beat Pete Carroll's Seattle Seahawks at all in Carroll's tenure.
It really is unbelievable. The only time that Pete Carroll ever lost to the Eagles was 24 years ago today in one of his last games as head coach of the Patriots. He arrived in Seattle in 2010, played the Eagles for the first time as Seahawks coach in 2011, beat Andy Reid once, Chip Kelly once, Doug Peterson 5 times, and now beat Nick Sirianni for the first time last night. 8-0 Pete Carroll is against the Eagles, and maybe they'll get together again in the postseason. That's another one of those, not quite at the same level of my one Christmas wish is that we get Browns-Ravens in the playoffs. I know you would love that. You would especially love it if the Browns win. But I want Joe Flacco in a Browns uniform going back to Baltimore to face the team that once was the Browns. And I know you don't like it when I mention that either. But I want that game. I want that one. I kind of want Seahawks-Eagles, and I really want Rams-Lions. That's the other one I really want. I want Stafford versus Goff in Detroit. I want that badly. But
me too.
Wherever it goes from here, Seahawks very much alive. And you mentioned the 49ers, that idea that they, who knows how did the 49ers factor into this, by the way? Who do they play? Do they play the Rams one more time? Do they play the Rams one more time? Is that what I missed?
They play the Rams one more time, and obviously they play the 49ers on the Ravens on Christmas night. So, that's one of those where, do I expect the 49ers to win? Yes, I do. But at the same time, it's not like I can just discount Baltimore, especially with what they've been doing over the last couple weeks and how good Lamar Jackson is playing.
I think the 49ers are going to win by double digits. I think we got it all wrong. We can't sit here and say the 49ers are the best team in football by far and then say, oh, those Ravens may have something. No, they don't. The 49ers players are healthy. I'm surprised the line is only 5. The 49ers are going to destroy the Ravens on Monday night. I'm sorry. It's just that's the way it's going to be.
Wow.
Think about it from the Ravens' perspective. We got to fly cross country on Christmas and play the 49ers. Is Santa fresh out of coal? This is our gift? Are you kidding me? So, anyway, what was I going to say? Oh, if the 49ers have a chance to knock out the Rams, if they have a chance to knock out the Rams week 18, this was the point that I was trying to make.
Yeah.
Don't take your foot off the gas. Get the Rams the hell out if you can get them out. You don't want the Rams showing up again in the postseason. And you also, we've seen, how many times have we seen? And I remember most vividly, it might not be most recently, but I remember most vividly 2019, and the Ravens went through the whole mental gymnastics. Because remember, Mark Ingram, their former running back, had a calf injury in the game next to last week of the season, so that kind of freaked them out, and they pulled all their starters, and they basically had 3 weeks off, and then they were flat-footed against the Titans, and they lost that game. Don't take your foot off the gas if you're the 49ers. If you have a chance to knock out the Rams, you knock out the Rams. So Rams, Seahawks, Vikings, Buccaneers, Saints, the 5 teams at 7-7. Obviously, Bucs or Saints, one of those two likely to win the division. I don't see the Falcons pulling it out. So you'll have 4 teams scrambling for 2 spots as we go down the stretch. Hi, it's Mike Florio. Thanks for watching PFT on YouTube. Hit subscribe for the latest news and analysis from Pro Football Talk.